I'm also the sitting president of the DC Film Critics. So I think there's 65 critics in our organization, and I've been president of that, as I said, since 2002. FAF is sort of our educational program. So we have two programs inside of that, Chill. One for middle school to high school kids called Real Kids, REEL Kids. And then we're working on introducing a program for undergraduates called the Producers Institute, where we want to take, college age students from a thought in their head to how do they get that thought made into a film, all the steps in between, the distribution, the marketing, some real life experience, probably at some film festivals, the networking that's involved with that. I wanted to do something a lot more substantial than just sending people out to LA to studios and then they are glorified gophers for 6 to 9 weeks over the summer. We wanted to create a program that was a little more substantial than that. So I don't make a movie. I think the only movie I've ever made is we had a Real Kids program, Chill.
Okay, I see. When you said only movie ever made, I was like, oh, we don't need to know about all that, Tim.
No,
so go ahead.
no, Chill, because your mother's on the phone. Is we did a film where I was forced to direct it because we were working with third graders, and they created a 2-minute and 37 film called Jackie's Journey. We had a 1-sheeter made for it. It was written by a third grader based on The Wizard of Oz. It was actually funny. I showed it at a fundraiser I did when we were gearing up for our Lakefront Film Festival. I said, your film is going to be much better than this film, but this is the only film I've ever directed.
Okay, now, also I'd like to say what's up to a couple other people have joined us. Make sure, again, you show this because as we replay it, and I do want to say, I want to reintroduce that we're here with my brother, Tim Gordon, who is in Washington, D.C. He just got through giving you some of the information of the organizations that he has started, is a part of, is the founder of, the CEO of, and I'm really starting this over because I also forgot to record the show to be able to download it on Facebook. On YouTube. So I hit record as you were giving that information. Now, obviously, we have it from the beginning archived itself on Facebook, but I just wanted for the people that are watching it on YouTube, we are here with Mr. Tim Gordon, my brother from the nation's capital, Chocolate City. Is it still Chocolate City?
Dude. Chill is my dude.
All right, that's my man, and we go way, way, way back. And as we start to get into the specifics, I do want to say, as you talked about the days that we were out as critics doing film junkets, we were like on the cutting edge of pioneers, because as you remember, it wasn't a lot of us there. I mean, it was a handful of Black faces at these events.
Well, you got to remember, man, when you and I first got in the game, man, doing this in the 90s, you had to belong to a credible news outlet, whether it was radio, whether it was magazine, whether it was broadcast. You just couldn't pop up like so many people do today and like, hey, I'm a blogger or I'm an influencer. You had to actually have some pelts on the wall and somebody had to vouch for you.
Right.
So you were at the Cleveland Call and Post, man. I was at Radio 1 at the time, man. When you first met me, I think I was producing a morning show, but I had my own show on WOL, appropriately called the Tim Gordon Entertainment Show back in the day.
You put some thought into that one, huh?
But it wasn't a lot of creativity at the beginning. But I think the thing that's interesting, you raise a really good point, man, because it wasn't a lot of us then. And even now, when you go in, I was teasing you earlier about the Critics' Choice Association. There are 475 members in the Critics' Choice Association, and there are 24 Black people out of 475. And that's an improvement because when they let me in 7 years ago, I was one of 12 when I first got in 2013. So, man, in this space, there's an absence of us in this space. You know, Wilson Morales, who, you know, is always on my show. He's a part of my weekly show. Mm-hmm. We talk about it all the time, man, that, you know, we make up so much of the industry, but there's this kind of what I call love-hate relationship, right? So, you know, you and I will meet certain African Americans or certain Black actors when they're still under the radar. And then when they go mainstream, suddenly their gatekeepers will try to block access to people that look like us, even though we were instrumental in helping to get them where they were. So I think about meeting a young Omari Hardwick, a young Idris Elba, Dandy Newton. I mean, there's so many people that we interviewed when they were young,
right?
Who you can still probably get them today, but it's not as easy. I've been blessed, and I know you're the same way, that we keep phone numbers on people, man. So when I need people, there's certain people on my Rolodex or on my email service, I just shoot out an email or pick up the phone and go, hey, man, I'm going to need you for this, bro. Let's make it happen.
Right. And, you know, and not to mention, you know, that time that I hooked you up so you could finally meet Halle Berry. Oh, snap. I never did hook that up, did I?
Wow. Really? We doing that tonight? No, that's no problem. We will finish that story on Saturday when you're on my show. Because that was dirty, man. I got really close. I remember, what's her name from Cleveland? Halle's girlfriend that lives out in L.A.
You talking about my friend
V?
Vinland, V.
Yeah. So I remember I was hanging out with V, and I think you were there with us as well, right? Because wasn't there was like supposed to be some kind of pajama party or something, and I was all excited, and all of a sudden I was like, y'all, Cleveland, man, y'all see how y'all did me, man? That was cool. It was good. But I did not. I think
it was a Cleveland only pajama party, and see, I didn't know it was Cleveland only. You had to be from the land.
Well, the closest I got that particular night is that Sanaa Lathan walked in the restaurant. So at least I got a chance to meet Sanaa, but not Halle. But it's okay.
Nice. That's good. That's nice.
Whatever, man. Nice. It's not Halle.
That's nice. But
I didn't know Tim just finished blowing Halle up for her birthday over the weekend. We love Halle Berry. She's a multiple nominee. You know, she's somebody we've honored over the years. We love Halle Berry.
Okay, I forgot that I wasn't able to hook that up for you because at the last minute it was for the land only. It was a Cleveland only push. No, but bruh, what like and you give awards. You have the Black Reel Awards, which I'm a voter. Am I still a voter for the Black Reel Awards?
You've always been a voter. We just went through a recertification process where we're adding new voters, but we wanted to make sure that people still have an interest. And I must say this for your audience, man, I've really been humbled this week because some of the responses that I've gotten back from people have just been above and beyond just, yes, I would like to continue, but you know, I'm humbled at some of the responses that people have told me about how vital they think the Black Reel Awards are. They want to be a part of what we're doing. And, you know, it ain't nothing, man. I mean, honestly, from a spiritual standpoint, it's God, man, because when we started that thing, we didn't have a lot of money. I had a little bit of cachet, which I still do. I had a little bit of cachet, and I had a good idea. And to this day, I was on a meeting before I got on the phone with you. And I was explaining to somebody that we patterned that show in 2000 after what the Oscars and the Golden Globes are doing. So we had a complete show of 25 to 27 nominees every year. You know, and we've been in this space, man. We've recognized a lot of actors or directors, but when they were on the come up, you know, we gave Ryan Coogler an award for a short film he did in 2008 called Fig, long before Black Panther. You know, Ava DuVernay was somebody we were on early, long before what she became.
Well, Tim, and I hate to interrupt, but you know, Ava, you know, we know and love Ava from the days that she was doing PR and marketing. And she was one of the people responsible for us, right? For the few Black people that we did have, Ava DuVernay was often responsible for getting us in.
Ava, we met Ava, and I still stay in contact with her. I've known Ava since '97. You're right. I remember when she was a publicist, man, it would be me, you, Wilson Morales, Sean Edwards. She'd be getting us on these phones for us to go and hit these interviews. And I remember when she announced that she wanted to make a movie, and I called her up. I was like, oh, that's cute, man. You gonna make movies now? That's nice. And then I started watching a couple of them. I was like, she's pretty good.
Yeah, think? Yeah, now she's Ava DuVernay.
Ava DuVernay.
No, I mean, it is a beautiful thing to see somebody, to see a sister like Ava DuVernay. And like you said, we knew her as a publicist in marketing, and oftentimes helped us as Black media get interviews that we otherwise wouldn't have gotten. But to see where she is now is just a testament to Black folks and the things that they can do, the levels that they can reach
when
they put their mind to it.
Did anybody have an idea that she would become this renowned as a director, man? I mean, who knew? I mean,
you know, she hanging out with us in the lobby, and the next thing we know, she at Oprah's house, you know, hooking up big deals.
Look at God, man.
You know,
that's all I can say, bro.
It is incredible, and I'm very proud of Ava. And I mean, you know, and we've seen a lot of people that we've come across, like you said, Ryan Coogler. You know, Ryan Coogler goes on to, you know, from what you were talking about, the Fruitvale Station to, you know, and then all of a sudden, Black Panther, and he's the man.
I never forget years ago, man. I remember here in DC, I was at the Motion Picture Association of America, and they had a special screening of Training Day before it came out. And this is 6 months before the movie, man. And Fuqua grabbed all the Black journalists and pulled them to the side. He said, man, y'all ain't never seen Denzel like this before. We gonna get D that statue for this. And we were like, word? He was like, wait till you see the movie. And boy, was he right. Because that Denzel Washington, I mean, you look at that performance today, and a lot of people throw shade on it because they go, you know, he should have won for Malcolm, or he should have won for Hurricane, and they gave him an award for this. But you got to remember, man, putting yourself in 2002 or 2001 mindset, Denzel hadn't played a role like that before. And that was really the first time that he really showed us his true full range. Bruh, I'm proud, man. Like I said, I've been lucky enough. You and I both have been lucky enough, either through junkets, film festivals, just regular screening situations, that we've had an opportunity to really be in the room and talk and meet a lot of these folks. But honestly, though, Chill, we got to get you in CCA, man, because I'm telling you, because that's the next frontier, bro. That's where
how many organizations do I have to be a part of there?
You want to be a part of that one, because I'm telling you, there's only 24 people that look like you and I in that one. And that also is the Critics' Choice Award. So you're in the room for an A-level award show with everybody else.
Where it happens. Okay, all right.
The room where it happens, bro.
Well, you and I talked about that earlier, and so I'm gonna go ahead. You haven't.
And you probably need to reach out to Sean. Sean's on the board.
Okay.
He's the first Black board member of the Critics' Choice Association. So Sean and you go back, man.
Sean, hey, me and Sean go way. Man, me and Sean got stories that we can't even tell over the air. But yeah, no. So
he's a wild boy.
Hey, that's
Sean's
my man, Sean. That's my man. So yeah, no, but but you're right. We often are, have been in the room where it happened when we first met people on the rise and helped propel a lot of these actors. And I mean, like I remember talking to Derek Luke. His first film was the Antoine Fisher joint, and that's a Cleveland made movie for the most part. And
we gave Derek Luke outstanding breakthrough performance for that film in 2003. So that's interesting you would bring that up, because people like Derek Luke, Jennifer Hudson, trying to think of other first timers. I mean, we've had a lot of first timers, man, that we've honored over the course of 20 years, man. So, my journey, you keep teasing me about belonging to a bunch of different organizations, but you will notice that my journey is circular, that I belong to all these film organizations, but at the end of the day, it covers the entire gambit of film, whether it's the African American side or the Black side, the mainstream side, you know, belonging to CCA and WAFCA, you know, educating people, you know, curating film, whether it's the Lakefront Film Festival, honoring film with the Black Reel Awards. So film is sort of my DNA, man, and I always look for ways that I could be an asset in that spot and work with people like yourself and a lot of our other colleagues that we've kind of gathered and known over the last 25 to 30 years, man, doing this stuff.
Okay, why is it, two questions. Why is it important for one to promote Black film, one, and two, to be, as we keep hitting this Hamilton note, in the room where it happens, because Black people, we go to see other films. We're in the house for all these films, not just for Black films. And which was another thing that I always thought was interesting, because when we would get invited to go out and do these junkets, if it was a mainstream non-Black film, it may be 3 of us, 4 of us. I've been there when it was just me. But when it's a Black film, like for instance, when we did Soul Food, okay, now they bring us all out. But our people, we support all films and always have. So why it is important for you, one, to promote Black films, and two, to be in the room to reach out to and represent Black film goers for mainstream films?
Well, you know, it's important to support Black film because you got to remember, man, it's 2020 now. And you heard me say earlier that, you know, there's been like this explosion of Black creatives, man, over the last 10 to 15 years, all these different storytellers that are coming along. But when you and I first got in the game, it was not like that. We had it was Spike Lee. You might have had Matty Rich in the 90s, Mario Van Peebles. I'm trying to think of who else that was Black that was making movies, but it wasn't a lot of people, man. You know, you had independent cats like Theodore Witcher, who did Love Jones, or, you know, I forget the brother that did Have Plenty, Chris Chereau. Yeah. So you had, you had a limited number of folks, man, and the doors hadn't been kicked open yet, man. So I'm talking pre-Jamie Foxx, not pre-Don Cheadle, but Don Cheadle had been around since the mid-'80s. Mid to late 80s. But without going into a tangent, I think it's important to support Black film because when we first got into the game, man, we didn't have a huge footprint, or the footprint wasn't as vast as it is today. So I'm so immersed in Black film now that for me, there's so many reporters and people that are reporting on things that are current. You know, I'm running series where I'm looking back at the history. You know, this month, I don't know if you had an opportunity, Chill, to go to my page to see my 31 stars and 31 days that we've been doing all month, where we're honoring, you know, Turner Classic Movies does a series called Summer Under the Stars, where once a day they pick one actor and then they spotlight like 12 of his films. So I counter programmed and said, I'm going to pick 31 Black actors and introduce 12 of their films. So for me, man, I'm always looking at different ways to kind of educate people or to turn people on to the film experience. And when you talk about why is it important to be in the room where it happens, pre-pandemic in January, I was in LA for the Critics' Choice Awards. And of course, Ava's in the room because When They See Us is nominated. Lupita Nyong'o was in there. I guess she had come for Black Panther the year before, so she was there again. And there were so many brothers and sisters that were in the room. And for people like you and I who interview these people a lot, it's almost kind of like a homecoming. You'll see them and be like, hey, Chill, what's up? You know, Ruth E. Carter's in the room. I remember telling Ruth E. Carter, I said, you're going to win tonight and you should win an Oscar again. And she didn't get nominated for the Academy Award, but she did win at the Critics' Choice Awards. So there's a lot of folks, a lot of relationships with people in the room, which is why I keep going back that I'm gonna keep hammering on you that we got to get you in, bro, because you got to be, to use the Hamilton analogy, in the room where it happens, bro. And it's important to be in that room because on awards nights when you're there, that's not really a work event, man. That's kind of like a skin and grin. You taking pictures, you're renewing old relationships. I don't know if you've had an opportunity over the years to interview Orlando Jones, who's always at these things every year. And we sit there and kick it with Orlando and have fun. Giancarlo Esposito, we had a lot of fun with him this past year. Kevin Wilmot, who's got the 24th coming out over this weekend, is a friend that I've known for 15 years, since CSA, before Black Klansman, before the Five Brothers. So I'm just saying, man, there are a lot of relationships that you build over the course of a career of doing this. And it's important because those relationships provide you access. So these are people that you bring on the air, introduce to your audience, have them share their stories and their experiences. And you never know who you're touching out there, Chill. It's somebody that's watching. It's like, if Chill did it, if Tim is doing it, I can do that too.
Right, and you are absolutely right. And you know what? And I just thought about it when you were naming those people. So, man, you know what? Because you and I have probably interviewed quite a few times over every Black actor in the game, and quite a few of the white actors as well. But yeah, you're right. And I guess what I want to ask you, because this is something that we have to deal in Black media all the time, because obviously we're set up to be advocates for Black folks. But what happens when Black folks don't do so good? When they put out negative images or poor product, and people are looking to us to get them the real. I know a lot of people in Black media have a hard time, how can I say, being critical of Black folks, because we spend so much of our time advocating for Blacks in film. How do you deal with that when you have to critique a project or an actor or director that just is not putting out good product?
Well, it's interesting you can ask. My background behind me is my radio show. So I'm going to move to the right so you can read the name of the show.
Keeping it real.
Hence, I picked that name because I'm the guy who, I've always been honest, man, and very transparent. If I see something I don't like, I'm always trying to keep it real, because in the event that person hears about it, you don't want to be the guy that's flip-flopping, that behind their back you say one thing and in their face you say another. So right. I've gotten in trouble for that level of bluntness. But here's what I would say, and again, this is a classic story, that for years I had huge problems with Tyler Perry's work, man. I mean, Look, I've only met Tyler once, so I can't confess that I have a warm relationship with Tyler Perry. But I would tell everybody around me, including my audience on the air, that whenever you put movies out, that's within my wheelhouse. I can be critical of your work without criticizing you. And all that changed for me when I watched #BlackAF on Netflix earlier this summer. And, if you saw the final episode when Tyler Perry is on there and, Kenya Barris goes to talk to him for advice, and Tyler's like, hey, man, I just do what I do. He's like, man, I don't care what people think about my stuff. I got a specific audience. And when I watched that, Chill, I was like, you know what? Tyler Perry gets it. I'm going to stop crushing Tyler Perry's movies, because my mother loves Tyler Perry's movies. My sister loves his movies. I've got friends that love Tyler Perry's movies, and they've been giving me grief throughout Tyler Perry's career because I've been crushing his movies. So I can't expect Tyler Perry to be Spike Lee, to be Barry Jenkins, to be Ava DuVernay, to be Misha Green, to be any other creative that's out there right now. Tyler Perry has a lane. These other filmmakers have a lane. I respect that brother in his lane. But I say that by saying that if you make a bad movie, you make a bad movie. And if you make a bad movie, we got to call it what it is, because your credibility is on the line. You can't run around and tell everybody that every movie's great when it's not. Right. And I don't have an issue with you crushing a movie if you can explain to me why it doesn't work for you. Like, was the execution bad? Was the acting bad? The score, was the film slow? What, you know, I use a phrase like sometimes a plane takes off on a runway and the film is flat. Like the film never soars, it never goes anywhere. It just takes me in the same direction for an hour and a half, 2 hours. So I've never minded anybody being critical. You don't have to agree with me on movies, but I can explain to you why certain movies work for me versus certain ones that don't work for me. Your sound is off, brother.
All right, there we go. I do want to say that I put out the Zoom link. So for anybody that is watching the show that wants to come on and ask Tim a question or bring up something about film, come on. The Zoom link is out there. Now, when I say come on in, I don't mean come in and give a 15-minute speech, because if you do that, you go
get me one of them, man.
You're gonna get the Ice Cube mean look. And yeah, but no, if I bring you on, you know, say your question, make your comment. I'll give Tim an opportunity to, you know, because you guys hear me running my mouth all the time. Give Tim an opportunity to kind of talk about whatever the topic is. But, you know, and as we bring people on, again, share the show. You want filmmakers, people interested in film, film enthusiasts. You want to hear what this brother is talking about and know all the things and affiliations that he has and his perspective. So make sure you share the show. Like and follow the Chill Talk page, even if you're watching it on a page that I shared it on. This all comes from the Chill Talk page, even though half of you are watching this on my own personal page because I shared it to here. But go ahead and make sure you like and follow the Chill Talk page as well as my YouTube channel. And you don't act like you don't see that Cash App on there. You know, I do a show at the end of the night. I go and see it. Chill was a great show, and it's like a 0 donations.
Thanks for that entertainment, Chill.
But no, so yeah, but yeah, you're right. You have to be responsible to your audience. That's part of journalism and ethics. It's easy to call out the other folks, but we got to be able to call out our own folks. That just makes them better. And you're right, like you say, you have it right behind you, keeping it real. Now we can, and I'll tell you this, because I've had, just like you, I've had to deal with the Tyler Perry discussion, and like some of the things that Spike had said earlier, I personally felt that, and although, you know, I have relatives that loved all of those films, even the man with the big man with the dress on. I felt that those films kind of held back our cognitive expectations of what filmmaking is, because that's easy. I mean, I'm not saying it's easy, but, you know, to put on a dress, big black man put on a dress, cussing and talking crazy and hitting people. Okay. You know, and it makes money, so that's another thing. But if you're talking about the craft of filmmaking, the art of filmmaking, and because sure, Spike Lee doesn't make films to make like millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Right. That's true.
He makes, for the most part, passion projects. And there's nothing wrong, obviously, with making money. But what Tyler Perry's doing now, you know, the opportunities that he's created a whole new Hollywood. He's putting a zillion black people to work. Okay, if that's your end game, okay, I'm with you now.
Right.
All right, but you show up with that dress on again, then I'm gonna have to go back to being critical.
Well, I mean, let's be real, Chill. I mean, you know, it's easy for you and I to sit here, or other critics across the country to sit and try to critique Tyler Perry, right? Tyler Perry is what I call low-hanging fruit, man. I mean, you make these movies, and there are a lot of folks, man, like that share the same opinion that you and I share. That you know, when you're bragging that you're making movies in 7 and 8 days, you're not really you're not really about. It's not about the craft. Tyler Perry has an audience of folks who have been rocking with him since he was doing stage plays, right?
Which I also felt the same way about the stage plays, but go ahead.
Right. But it's funny because since I've let go of my tremendous disdain for Tyler Perry and his methodology and how he works and will accept him as just another filmmaker, I was watching Nobody's Fool a couple of weeks ago, the film with Tika Sumpter and Tiffany Haddish. I thought it was kind of funny. I was like, it's not bad. That's probably the most watchable Tyler Perry film that I've ever seen. I mean, even more so than The Family That Prays and some of the other stuff. So I'm not going to crush every movie he does. I think my issue with Tyler Perry is that I think, in my estimation as a critic, right, when I break a film down, I don't think I've ever seen a complete start to finish film from Tyler Perry that I go, you know what, that was good. Like I can't ever have had that experience with him. Like when I think about Do the Right Thing, or I think about Malcolm X, or I think about Four Little Girls, where you can watch Spike Lee's movies. And let's throw Spike out. A film like Selma that Ava DuVernay made. I would not put in A Wrinkle in Time because that was not a good one. Well, but I'm just saying that to say that when you talk about a complete film from start to finish, like, man, that's a movie. That is a narrative. That's my issue, or one of the issues that I've had with Tyler Perry, that I think when you have so many young and upcoming filmmakers who come into the game and take the craft seriously. You think about Stella Meghai, who earlier this year had The Photograph and is doing some other stuff that he's got coming up. You think about the Barry Jenkins, you know, you think about, as I said earlier, Steve McQueen and Ryan Coogler and so many of these other filmmakers, these brothers and sisters that are out here, man, who are taking the craft seriously. And then you get a dude who just will throw a movie together, 2 takes. We gonna get in, get out. I'm shooting it in my studio in Atlanta. You get what you get. My audience is gonna feel it, whether or not it's technically proficient or not. Look no further than, what was the name of the movie that he put out in January?
What, Tyler?
Yeah, the Netflix movie. Oh my God. What was the name of the Netflix movie? I'm screaming over at my significant sitting over here. It wasn't A Fatal Affair, because that was Neil Long's bad movie from a couple of weeks ago. I forget what it was called, but he put a movie out in January.
It wasn't John Henry, was it? No, I'm just playing.
That was a bad one too. I mean, come on, man. I mean, during this pandemic, I told somebody, I said, you know, all these folks that are at home watching streaming services chill, they're seeing a lot of movies, and they're also understanding what you miss by not having major theatrical releases, right? Because these streaming services, for the most part,
my man, I was just about to say, my man, Crazy D, who's in the room. I'm about to bring him in. He also.
But wait a minute, before you bring him in, there was a scene in Fall from Grace where a police officer pulled the dude over, put handcuffs on him, and as he was about to arrest him, he got a call and he told the guy, "Hey man, stay right there. I'll be back." And I was like, "Wait a second, man!" Like, and that happened twice in Fall from Grace. Right. So, you know, among other things, man, it was an easy film for people like you and I to really crush, because you were just doing crazy stuff in that movie that made no sense. Like, how many films have we seen that have had courtroom scenes in it? And everybody knows that when a judge decides a case, there is no rebuttal that you're gonna come back, let me add some more evidence. I was like, come on, Tyler. I mean, this is film 101, bro. You don't know this? But go ahead, Chill. I'm sorry.
Okay, Sister Beckett also jumped in there with a Fall from Grace. Hey, the people on my panel, they on it, Jack. They answering these questions. And before I bring my man D in, who's also does a film show, and he's in Vegas. I believe you guys may be Facebook friends, but I'm gonna bring him in because he also has an excellent film show that he does. But you know, often as a critic in those instances, I've often had to face a critique of me, of my critiques about, hey, this brother is a black man making money, giving black people a job, and here it is, you're critical of him, and he just trying to do his thing. And I have no problem with people doing their thing or making money. Black folks with a job is a beautiful thing. But as a critic, it is my job to be honest and critical of it. Not to judge if he deserves to make money or he got to feed his family, or 20 years later he's gonna build an empire that I'm happy that he has, that he puts a zillion people to work. But that's not my job to forecast that. It's to critique the individual film. So that's what we do. But I'm gonna bring my man Dion, Crazy D, in the building. A brother who definitely has insight on the things that we're talking about right now. And let's see if we get my brother. There he is. That's my brother. Let me see, waiting for his audio. Look at that. See, he trying to do us with the background.
His background is outdoing mine. Mine is kind of static.
He banging on his.
Yeah, he got some stuff.
Look like he got Thelma from Good Times up there.
You sure that in the screen or something back there?
Hey man, he high tech with his. D high tech with his. Let's see. All right, D, if you want to go ahead and unmute your mic so I can look at it.
I love how D stands to the side so we can see all the stuff.
Hey man, that's how he does, man. My mama is one of his #1 fans. He come on. He's so cool when he break it down.
The Film Review Life channel. All right, I'm about to come check you out, bro.
See, there you go. We gonna put it together, make it happen.
That's what we do.
All the way from Vegas, a Chill Talk regular, my man Crazy D. What's going on, D?
What's going on? Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Yes.
First of all, great show, Chill. This information is being put across about black film. Tim, it's an honor to meet you. You know, you're doing big things. You're a critic. You're in all organizations that we all hope one day to be involved with as a film critic. So my first question for you is, why are there still blacks who want to go into Hollywood when D.W. Griffith, Douglas Fairbanks, Mary Pickford, and Charlie Chaplin with United Artists made it clear unity wasn't going to be with American blacks, especially when you have the legacy of Oscar Micheaux? Why are there so many blacks that want to still go into Hollywood?
Well, I mean, you know, UA, man, was formed in 1924, man, with those 4 artists. And you talked about D.W. Griffin. That was 1914, 1915. So that was 105 years ago. Man, I think to answer your question in the best and most possible terms, man, is that the game is sort of evolved over time, right? So if you really look at the history of film, because I was talking about this earlier, you understand and know that Oscar Micheaux. Well, let me back up before I answer this part. If you really think about the history of film, which I don't know if a lot of people know, you know, Thomas Edison created a phonograph, man, in the late 19th century, right, 1890s, right? And in New York, you had all these folks that had these vaudeville, Nickelodeon type shows. And Edison had the technology, and he sent in these tough guys, man, and chased these folks out of New York, and they all went out to the West Coast. So you had a lot of Eastern European Jews, you know, that went to Hollywood before it was Hollywood. They created the term Hollywood, but they went to Los Angeles, and they were the titans that started what we now know as the motion picture industry. You know, the Fox brothers, you know, that became 20th Century Fox. You talked about UA with Chaplin, Pickford, Fairbanks, and there was one more person that was in there that you named. But yeah, you're spot on. But all these Eastern European Jews created what we first saw as a studio system. And you think about an Oscar Micheaux, who was probably the most high-profile African-American of that time. But in 1920, you had a situation in 21 at Black Wall Street. Blacks were being lynched in Red Summer of 1919. So there was no way at that time that Michaud would be considered on equal footing with those guys who became the forerunners of what we now know as Hollywood, right? So to answer your question, when you say, why are Black people still going to Hollywood? Because Hollywood has sort of opened its doors up specifically over the last 25 to 30 years, man. And I'm just being real, man. I mean, we went through from 1927 to 1999, Blacks weren't being honored with major awards. We barely had pockets where we were making films. We had the race films from like 1919 to 1949. Portier comes in 1950. The game opens up a little for him, but not much more. You went through that period in the early 70s where, after Melvin Van Peebles dropped Sweetback's Badass Song, that they took the message of the film and created this genre called the Blaxploitation era, even though I know there are people that hate that phrase. And then Spike Lee comes along in 1986 and ushers in kind of a new kind of renaissance of filmmakers. But I've really seen over the course of probably 1995 to now that we've had a opening up of Hollywood, and it's been slow, but that's why they're there, man. We can't not be in that space because that's where the mainstream is right now. And we can't, whether we start our own industry outside of Hollywood, I don't know. I mean, so we've got enough issues to deal with that we're dealing with the problem now of American Black actors competing for roles with British Black actors. I mean, there's a lot of stuff going on, man. And I'm trying to condense it down, but giving you a lot of meat in the middle instead of just trying to not necessarily answer the question. But to my best answer to that is that it's the evolution of the game, man, and that there are more opportunities that are available now that weren't there even when Chill and I first got in the game.
Okay, now real quick, because you brought it, first of all, I want to say what's up to a couple of people that have joined us. What's up to Darren Mills in the building, Shelly Shockley, one of my OG journalism mentors over at the Call and Post. My man Stereo, the Hitman, is in the building, and he actually wants me. He's saying let me in, but bruh, the link is in. The link is in there, so you haven't. So come on in, bro. Go ahead and catch that link and get in.
But did that answer work for you, Crazy D?
D, he said, did that answer work for you?
I had to take the mute off. Yeah. I mean, just my looking at it is that I'm looking at Oscar Michaud. And I'm looking at the through line of all that. Like a lot of that Blaxploitation was Jews and Black people working together to produce those films, really, right? Ron O'Neal, Superfly, Karamu, Cleveland, Ohio.
Cleveland, Ohio, the land. Big ups to the land.
He was on a Black Reels. They have a YouTube presence.
Brothers
right?
out of Philly. I know them guys. Yeah.
And Ron O'Neal, they have a piece with Ron O'Neal where he talks about that it was the NAACP president at the time that had a marketing company who lost the marketing on Superfly, being able to distribute it. So he came up and coined the phrase Blaxploitation because he didn't get the dollars from it. So really, Ron O'Neal said that a lot of the Blaxploitation, but in particular Superfly, was the Black man riding off into the sunset in his El Dorado like John Wayne rode off into the sunset. It was basically an urban, I hate that word, but urban Western, and he actually rode off into the sunset. And when you look at a lot of what was coined Blaxploitation, and then he also says that Cicely Tyson got involved because she had Sounder. And Sounder didn't pop any popcorn. And so she never saw Superfly, and she got on the bandwagon of talking about anti-this. So when I learn about things like that, about it coming from a source that was sore, I automatically discard the term blaxploitation. I always used to call it soul 70s cinema,
Right.
and because a lot of the images was of strong black men. What do
Well,
you?
But
hold on.
let me jump in. But let me jump in
Hold
and
on one
just say
second.
one thing.
All right, go ahead, Tim.
I was gonna say, don't dismiss Melvin Van Peebles, and I brought that up earlier. Sweet Sweetback's badass song.
I was getting ready to mention that. Go ahead.
Right, because the reason why that whole genre, whatever you want to call it, soul cinema, exists is because when Melvin made that movie and for the first time showed a black man in power, and at the end, he doesn't get caught, he doesn't make friends with the man, he escapes and he does his thing. That movie made $10 million, and Hollywood is always trying to copy a formula. So they didn't want to have the Melvin formula with the hero getting away. So they took the politics out of it, made the black lead strong, but then made him a pimp, made him a PI, made him something in the community. So Hollywood took that, perverted what Melvin Van Peebles created in Sweetback, and in turn gave us a Superfly, gave us a Shaft, gave us all these films that were in these genres. And then they gave us a lot of films that were mainstream films that they came and put a black slant on. So you had Blackula, which was supposed to be Dracula, Blackula. Instead of having like The Exorcist, we had Abby. So I mean, there's a history to what happened in the 1970s, and you gotta really pay attention to that. And I remember Ron O'Neal, I interviewed him once, and he hated that phrase, blaxploitation, hated it, man. So, I'm proud of what those brothers and sisters did because they were working. But, as we say, all money ain't good money, man. And all those films weren't good films, bro. I saw a film one time called The Candy Tangerine Man. Did anybody ever see that?
Yes, I thought.
Sounds familiar.
What about Black Shampoo?
Yes.
I'm just trying to tell. I watch a lot of movies, man. So I'm telling you, I've seen some stuff. But go ahead, Chill.
Did you see Monkey Hustle?
I did see Monkey Hustle.
Okay, no, but one thing I wanted to bring up though is that, and I also got a chance to talk with Melvin Van Peebles, and Melvin Van Peebles always saw Sweetback's badass song as a revolutionary
film. Yep.
A revolutionary
Amen.
film. And I didn't want to pass the fact that you brought up, and Crazy D came back and brought up Oscar Micheaux.
Right.
For people that are watching this, if you are unfamiliar with Oscar Micheaux and his work and in the time period that he was doing the things that he was doing in film, it would behoove you to go back and do your research on Oscar Micheaux. But before I bring in some other questions, I also want to, I'm representing the land. So when you bring up Superfly now, people have different feelings about Superfly. Yes, he did ride off at the end, and it was about a brother trying to get out of the game. Okay, by the way, probably in my book, one of the greatest soundtracks ever made.
Can't deny Curtis Mayfield did his thing.
Ever made. But also, I wanted to bring up the fact that for my Cleveland people, that is a Cleveland movie. It stars a Cleveland actor. It was written by a Cleveland writer, Philip Fenty. It's a Cleveland story based on a Clevelander. Brother, many Clevelanders know the legendary Scatter, or Scatterbrain, as he was sometimes called, but not to his face. But he would possibly go for calling him Scatter. But yeah, that's a Cleveland film in and out. Just it's set in New York, but it's written by a Clevelander, stars a Clevelander. It's about a Clevelander, and we've done the Superfly story. And also, I want to say what's up to my brother T'Challa in the building. My brother Sean. So we have members of the Kofi Pi research team, authors, co-authors of this book, volume 1 and 2. So again, I'm sure they're going to drop it into the chat. how to get this book, how to get both of these books, definitely reach out, check them out. And for stereo, I'm gonna put it. The link is in there, but I'm gonna put the link in there again if you want to come in and talk about film. And I know you had a follow-up question, D. So go ahead and get it in, bro.
Okay, I had a discussion after watching Black Reels episode where they talked about Dolomite. I don't know if it's a generational situation. I'm going to be 50 next year, but coming up on those films, like when you watch the Mac with Richard Pryor, which I thought was one of his best dramatic performances as an actor, right? Where he sat up there and he's in the bar and he talks to Goldie, and then he gets emotional. Then the police come and they take him outside and they say, "Run, N-word, run!" And that movie teaches you don't run from the police. Stand there, right? So a lot of in these films, and that's Max Julian, right? So in these films, there are a lot of pro-black messages within the film. Like Dolomite, to me, is one of the greatest black comedy of his blue, because it's blue comedy, and I love blue comedy. And so it's blue, but he wins in the end, and he uses what's necessary to outdo the man. Do you remember how, I don't know, how people used to be on the phone and they would have that white voice that they would use to get in?
Right.
Like, hi, this is such and such and such and such and such and such. So, but once they walked in the door, that got them in the door. And then once they got in the door, they were able to show. That was called getting over, because there were certain things that we were locked out of. So when I watch the blaxploitation movies, as they're called, but I call them Soul 70 Cinema, when I watch them, I look at all of the lessons that they teach that unfortunately still exist today, where you still have to get over, where you still have to do this, do certain things, or walk a certain way until you can get your foot into the door. So what do you say to that? Because I think that those blaxploitation films actually had, even Blackula, he put in an interview, he said he put in the African culture into the Blackula archetype, because the Jewish writers who were writing it had him more like a buffoon, and he put in the African aspect of the character as being a king that was fighting against chattel slavery at the time, before he was bitten by Dracula, and then he comes back and goes into his thing. So what do you say about the pro-black element in all of those films?
All right, before you answer that, Tim, I want to tell Sister Beckett, because she's in here getting it in the chat. She's shouting out Spook, who sat by the door. My man Sam Greenlee, but good Kappa brother. But also, Sister Beckett, the link is in the chat. If you want to come in and be a part of the conversation, because obviously you know what you're talking about, and you have some things to talk about, so feel free to hit that Zoom link if you so choose. And Stereo, you keep telling me to send the link. Now I put the link a second time into the chat. So go ahead and grab that link, Stereo. But yeah, but Sister Beckett, if you want to go ahead and become a part of this panel, you have my blessing. So, you know, the link is in there, the Zoom link is in. If you want to grab it and come in. But go ahead, Tim.
All right, I was gonna tell Crazy D, because you know, let me move over again so you can see this, so you don't think I'm being harsh. All right. You know, I appreciate William Marshall, who played Blackula, you know, adding elements to kind of, at that point in 1971, 72, 73, embrace more of the African culture. I'm just gonna keep it real with you. A lot of these movies, man, that we would use, the three that you were talking about, the Mac, Blackula, and I think it was one more that you talked about, Dolomite. I understand the importance, like Eddie Murphy, they just had the Netflix film that was released about 6 months ago, which kind of told Dolomite's story. You know, not necessarily a biopic, but kind of like, you know, them letting you in on what Dolomite's motivation was. I'm not sure, because I have to say, I don't know how true it is. Like, did they enhance it or enhance the story arc? Did Dolomite really pay a dude who was a no-teeth ex-wino to tell him story? I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. But that film and what was the second one? There was one that you like. Those the Mac. A lot of those films, man, were well-meaning in 1970, whatever year they came out. The Mac, I think, was 73. Dolomite might have been 75. A lot of those films, man, just to me now almost, I'm not going to use the phrase unwatchable. I think the Mac, when I watch it now, the Mac has so many great lines in it, man, and the performances of like you said, Richard Pryor and Max Julian. But, you know, I was just having this conversation with somebody a couple of days ago about how I watch the Mac now, and as a 50-plus-year-old man, that it resonates differently for me now than it did when I watched it 20 years ago. I don't remember watching the Mac in theaters. My parents, I was too young. My mother and father would not have let me go on to see the Mac in theaters in the 70s, man. But I just think that these movies, man, they represent a time. But a lot of these movies, man, like I said, technically just don't hold up. And if they release those movies today, we wouldn't have these amazingly fond memories of these movies if they were released today, technically the way they were made. Because there are some movies from the 70s that hold up pretty well. Lady Sings the Blues holds up pretty well. Claudine holds up pretty well. Cooley High, absolute classic from 76, man, it still holds up. But a lot of these films, man, remind me of what we were talking about earlier, the way Tyler Perry makes some of his movies, man. They just rushed them through. There wasn't really a concern about the acting. They had some level of consciousness to them, and they meant something at that time. But those films were not made to be films that would be lasting films. They were just made to get money at that time. And that's basically how I see it, man. So I know that's not the answer you were looking for, but I'm like,
Well, and I do want to add that in some of those instances, a lot of those films were brand new filmmakers. Certainly with
a lot of them white filmmakers too. I mean,
Superfly was
Gordon Parks Jr.
Right, but that as a director, but producer Sig Shore. But all those were their first time writer, first time director, first time producer. They were just gonna, ride off of the cachet of Gordon Parks Sr.
Right.
and Shaft. Yeah. So all those were new filmmakers, and obviously Rudy, rest in peace, and Crazy D knows that's my man. I got a chance.
Rudy did his thing, man.
I got a chance to know Rudy Ray Moore is a Clevelander. He wrote for the Colin Post. I got a chance to know him pretty good in the final decade of his life. I even brought him to Crazy D's store. I did bring Rudy Ray Moore to your store, right?
Well, I sold some tickets for a comedy show that he had.
Okay.
And the guy who worked with Z9, Z9
was his distributor.
No, what was a distributor that kind of took advantage of Rudy in the end and distributed all his films, but they had that documentary, and the documentary that they had on Rudy, actually the film with Eddie Murphy pretty much follows that to a T, because Rudy put that down. But it's a guy who actually has Rudy Ray Moore on his deathbed talking, and I've interviewed him on my show, but he hasn't done anything with that footage.
But I thought I brought Rudy to your store and had D. Loran interview him there. No?
What wasn't my store, but he actually came another time when I bought tickets for his comedy show. And if I had known that he was in Akron at the time, I would have made it up there to where he was in hospice and had interviewed him, because I did not know that those was his last days in hospice in Akron. That's a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah. And big ups to my brother Delvis Valentine, who was like his other son, who connected me to Rudy. And spent a lot of time with him in the last half decade of his life, and got a chance to know him, his daughter, his son. Man, he got a son, and they call him Stoli Mike. Man, I'm like, come on, man, you can't be serious. That's what you rolling with? Stoli Mike. But yeah, that his son, big ups to his son, Stoli Mike, and his daughter, man. They good, all good people, man. And Rudy was a good dude. I have my man Stereo, the Hitman, finally made his way into the building. I'm gonna bring him into the room and see what he knows about film. So we gonna see. But yeah, anybody else who wants to come in and talk about films, specifically, primarily black films, or at least from a black audience perspective, the link is in the chat. The Hitman is in the building. Stereo.
What's going on, man? I made it.
What you know about? I saw your man in there had some words for you. Your man Sean.
Oh, I didn't even see him.
Sean, you know, I think y'all show up together. Y'all put the bat signal out.
What's Sean say? What's Sean say? I missed it.
I gotta find it. But he throwing up a peace sign and a bunch of muscle arms. But
okay.
Stereo, what you know about film, bro?
Well, first of all, I want to say what's up to my people. What up, D? What's poppin'? What's up, Chill? And great to meet you, Mr. Gordon. How you doing?
Sir, I'm fantastic. I'm hungry, but you know, Chill won't answer my question. I'm like, dude, I need to get some food.
We're gonna let you go in a minute, Tim.
But
Go ahead, Stereo.
I just love movies in general, man. I always, wanted to ask questions about movies, especially the people that make movies for us. And the part is that, I always used to say this, right? What? Every time we got a movie, it got to be hip hop, or it got to be some killing, or it got to be some this and that. But then when you get older, you realize that you making the movies that's you're making a movie towards the audience you're making it for, basically. You know what I'm saying?
Or the idea that they think what the audience wants.
Right. So I had to catch that, but I think movies is a lot like music. You know what I'm saying? And the question being is that as far as a filmmaker or director, or a script writer or whatever, when you write, when you do what you do in this industry, do you have a specific audience in mind, or do you just kind of like put something together for in general and hope they gravitate to it? Or do you,
Are you asking if I was making films or reviewing films?
Because Tim is a film critic.
No, but I mean, I could answer in the mindset of a person making a film, but I don't make films.
You're a critic. No, but you do like you kind of like you review films or whatever. You do pretty much what
review films, write about. Well, I don't spend a lot of time writing these days because there's too much technology. Ain't nobody got time for all that writing. Right. I will get on here and give reviews on Zoom.
All right, so let me rephrase the question. So, how do you view the movies? What makes a movie a good movie to you? That's a good question.
Well, that's a great question, man. And I just, instead of giving you a 30-second answer, man, I just will say this, right? And no disrespect to my brother Chill, because that's my dude over there. But I tell people, man, when people come to me and ask me, well, how do they get on? I'm like, you got to watch movies, bro. Long before I became a film critic in 1992, I had a father, man, who loved movies, man, like you. Okay. And when I was a kid, he took me to movies, man, all the time. In the 1970s, when I was a little youngster, I was running to the movies to go see Bruce Lee and Enter the Dragon. My parents wouldn't let me roll through Superfly and Shaft. I had to see those much later in life. I think the first movie I ever went to when I had to pay my own money, it was a double feature, was Let's Do It Again and Come Back Charleston Blue, 1975.
Okay.
So from there, a decade later, my father kind of gave me an experience I never forgot. He used to work for, like, he had the Cleveland Call and Post. We got the Newark Star Ledger. I'm from Newark, New Jersey.
Okay.
And he brought home an MGM production schedule that had MGM movies from 1978 to 1983. And I had never seen anything like that. I'm like, you mean to tell me they schedule these movies this far in advance and they can tell me that this person is attached? So that sort of opened up my mindset that I didn't want to be an actor. I didn't want to be a director, but I knew how to write well, and I loved movies and I loved watching them. So I wanted to talk about movies, right?
Okay.
So years later, I went into the Marine Corps, and when I was in the Corps for 2 solid years, they had a movie theater every Thursday, had Dollar Thursday. So I would go every Thursday to the movies and would watch 4 movies for $1. Now, technically, I'm telling people on air that I was jumping from movie to movie, that I paid my $1, and then I saw this movie and then jumped into the next movie and then jumped into the next movie. But I did that for 2 years. So I became the dude who everybody came to because they knew I had watched all the movies. So they called me Movie Man. Okay. So years later, last part of the story, Chill, is 1990. And I'm sitting around 26, 27 years old trying to figure out what I'm doing with my life. And I knew the one thing that I was really good at is that I knew movies and I understood the industry to that point. And I saw Charles Burnett's To Sleep with Anger, and I saw The 5 Heartbeats. And I wondered why each of those movies, which I thought were great movies, that neither of them kind of made any money. And that those 2 movies drove me into reviewing movies. So I created a newsletter called the Renaissance Review. I reviewed movies. That got me on television. That got me on radio. And it got me on Chill's show tonight. So that was the beginning of the journey.
So
okay, what I want to know is, Tim, how did that start off by saying no disrespect to Chill? What was the disrespect?
Because again, the joke for people who know me, my nickname 25 years ago, they used to call me Tim 10,000 because they, you know, I think I've watched at this point now closer to 20,000 movies in my lifetime. And I always get on people who want to get in the game that don't understand the history of the game. You don't watch movies. You don't know Oscar Michaud. You don't know about Hallelujah. You don't know about not just classic Black film, but you got to watch all the movie and then understand. So you heard me talking earlier about Turner Classic Movies, right? Mm-hmm. So I've curated films for 25 years. So Turner wants to put a series together where you rolling out a white actor every day with 12 movies. I put out a Black actor every day with 12 movies. So by the time we get done, I've put people on the 370 movies in the entire month of August, from Portier, Viola Davis, Jamie Foxx, any other Black actor that we featured this month. But to answer your question, Stereo, what I look for in a movie, man, is I look for, if you think about real estate being location, movies are about story. So it's not just a movie. It could be a record. It could be a play. It could be television. If you got a whack story, you can have the best actors of your generation in it. They can't save a bad story.
Right.
So you got story, you got execution, you have how music is used in the film. Does the music put the mood, put you in a certain mood, move the story along? And then finally, it's the performances, man. Like, what are these actors giving you? Are they believable? Or are you watching them like we talked earlier about Fall from Grace? Hey, man, you got them handcuffs on. Stay on that car. I'll be back. It's incredible, bro. So,
I'm still not sure how that started with no disrespect to Chill. Man,
I don't know how many movies you don't watch, Chill.
Well, let me say thank you for that, and let me answer Chill's question that he asked me when I first came in. He said, "What do I know about movies?" Well, in my hand, just luckily, I have a script to a movie that I wrote called Sweet As Me. And I'm bringing it to Cleveland. I'm in Cleveland Friday. I'll be there about 3:00 Friday. But it's a movie that's based on, okay, let me tell you where I got the information from in general. Well, I was all my life growing up, I would hear stories about this one dude named Boxing Betty in New York, who he'll put candy on your bed and if a dude take it, he knocks him out and he take his
Yeah, everybody
business
heard
with him.
about Boxing
Right.
Betty.
And then, so then in New York, they got this dude named Dead Arm. He's another guy, criminal, and he'll knock you out in jail and do whatever. So I say, you know what? That's crazy. Those stories kind of stuck with me because I found them fascinating. Like, hey, this big dude, he gay, this big guy, he knocks somebody out. So it made me build this character named Sam. Sam is called, the name of the movie is called Sweet As Me, and the character's name is Sam. But he's a flamboyant gay guy, but he fights like Tyson. He's incredible. So the story is about his whole life and how he was raised. And long story short, real quick, father was a gangster. His grandfather was a gangster. His mom had him. She was pregnant. His father thought she cheated on him. He went out in the street, and to take care of that, his grandfather was like, no. He said, you a gangster too. You know, we got to handle our business. This dude cheated. He did this with my wife. So he goes out and get killed. The grandfather takes it out on the kid, beat him up all the time. The grandmother and the auntie cuddles the kid. He plays with their purses, plays with their high heels, end up being gay. End up being chased home every day from school, blah, blah, blah. The story is dope. And he's a flamboyant, funny guy. He could fight, and it's dope.
Still, you need to get your elevator pitch together.
Yeah, man, because that was way too long, man. Like, if I was a financier, I'd have been like, what's your movie about? And you'd have told that story, I'd have been like,
you need to get your elevator pitch.
Right.
Your elevator pitch.
Wait, hold on a second. What is behind Crazy D, and why is there a woman on the ground and somebody getting stomped on? What is this movie behind you, Crazy D?
I think that's a Crazy D movie.
Yeah, the dopest movie.
I think that's a crazy. And I saw my girl Poison Ivy in one of them shots back there.
Did she get smacked down and stomped? Is that what I'm watching?
Tell us about it, Crazy D.
Mute, because you know my mic is gonna die if y'all not on mute real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
So go on mute. So this is from the Black Ice Chronicles. When you deal with the unseen, you have to deal with the unforeseen. But this particular film is called Back in Cleveland, and the tagline and the information line is a woman learns the hard way, by all means necessary, keep your name clean. And so this is what this story is about. Crazy D is brought back to Cleveland, and then it all unfolds. And these are just quick cuts for the trailer that I put together. And shot it in 15, but it's still a classic, and it's on demand right now. You can go right over to lordlandfilms.com, and you can watch it right on demand. You can own it, or you can watch it on demand for $2.99. So that's
Crazy D, I love how he slapped the shit out. I mean, sorry.
Oh, hey!
He slapped the stuff out of her, and how we don't see the slap, but she's laying on the ground like.
I saw Tim had his pimp hand up. He was getting involved in the film.
Well, see, one thing it's about, because I make films too and review. But my thing is, like, when we look at the technical side of, let's take Superfly, for instance. They have this big knuckle buster camera that they had to put on their shoulder. And Ron O'Neal is sneaked by the fiends. And he's chasing after the one fiend, and this is all done with them tracking backwards with the camera, and you can see the wire come into the scene, but somehow the wire of the camera ends up looking like it's part of a stop sign. And then as they're running back, so actually they were doing Steadicam work before Rocky comes out a few years later, where they say that they come up with the Steadicam. They're doing this with a big production camera, and they're moving through New York. And another thing, the ADR on that is so good, because at the beginning they come with the God shot, looking from the building down at the two fiends. The fiends, their mouths are not moving, but they add in the Foley, and they add in everything in the street noise, and they balance the sound just enough so it would look like they're talking, and they're having this discussion. Then as the scene plays out, there's real people in New York. There's a woman that keeps looking at the camera. The fiend Then the guy who's acting like the fiend looks at her, she looks at him, and it shows the difference between how people are fearful of people today. She didn't even think twice. He said to take her off of it, from looking at the camera, he said, "You got a quarter?" She goes in her purse and hands him a quarter, and then the scene is saved so they don't have to do it again. So when we're looking at technical, I look at the technical like a fall from grace. Like there's a scene when they're in the newspaper before they get to Tyler Perry with the off hair, and people talked about his hair, but then the woman who did his hair died of COVID. So people should watch when they talk about people. You know, just people were making fun of his hair. I didn't find anything wrong with it, but there's a scene where they have a tracking scene, where they're tracking with Sumter, and they track with her. Then it steadies. Then it pans over to reveal Tyler Perry looking at her like, "What the heck are you doing?" The technical side of these films, I think people, because I went to film school, so the technical side of how the camera moves, the angles that you use, everything, instead of just doing static shots, you're doing movement. You go from static to move to pan to up, down, and you're using the low angle, high angle to represent diminish, low angle, high to represent that you're a god. I mean, all of these angles. So I look at the films and I look at them on the technical side. That's what makes those so good, because for what the budget they had.
Right. Well,
and they do something that is just phenomenal. So I look at it more than just, compared to what they do today.
Right. And I know that Tim has to go and eat because he's in the chat talking about chill. I got to go eat. So before we shut it down, Crazy D, again, I want you to go ahead and let the people know how they can find your show.
Okay, you can find my show on the Film Review Life channel. It comes on at 5:30 p.m. Pacific, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and of course Central is 7:30, 6:30 Mountain. We're on every Sunday, 5:30. The replays happen on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and Spotify, as well as other platforms. And of course, the replays also happen on Instagram, on Crazy D Film Dude. And so that's how you can reach me. We do movies, music, culture, politics, society. So we review how movies and music represent what's happening in the society, and how the culture and politics drive film. And that's what we review. And so I'm honored to be here with Tim, because he's doing his thing. And my last question for him is, what's your top 5 of black films of all time? Your top 5 black films of all time. I know that blaxploitation not gonna be in there. I don't know why, but top 5 films of black films of all time.
Come on with it, Tim.
Brother put me on the spot, man.
Come on with it, Tim.
I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna be surprised at number 1. Number 1 is probably a film that I have watched literally 100 times or more, and it's from 1961, and it is Raisin in the Sun. Sidney Poitier's absolutely drop dead best performance. Should have won the Oscar for that instead of that thing they did in 1963 that Newman should have won. Paul Newman should have won for HUD, but they gave it to Sidney.
For Lilies of the Field.
Lilies of the Field, which is not one of my favorite. You build a chapel, I build a chapel.
Heat of the Night was released the same year as Lilies of the Field.
It was not.
Are you positive about that?
Lilies of the Field was 1963.
Oh, no, excuse me. Guess Who's Coming to Dinner. I'm sorry.
And Guess Who's Coming to Dinner were all in 1967.
Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
But wait a minute, that's number 1. Right?
All right.
Number 2, man, this is tough, man, because the movie, I don't even think it's Spike Lee's best film. I think his best film is Do the Right Thing, right?
Okay, but what's the film you repping for?
But the film I'm repping probably, again, features the best performance of this actor's career. And if you watch Malcolm X in 1992, Denzel Washington carries that movie for 3 hours plus. He's in almost every scene of Malcolm X. And people don't remember the tremendous pressure he was under, him and Spike Lee, to get that movie right. He had to fly to Chicago to meet with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to make sure that you were going to represent the nation and Malcolm well in that film. So that would be number 2.
And he, before you go to number 3, he also got so far into character when he yelled cut, he still was in character.
Oh, big time, man.
Well,
I mean,
that's how Denzel get down anyway. But
man, Spike said, man, in a recent interview that Denzel Washington, a year before he started that movie, he stopped eating pork. He learned Arabic and the Quran. Denzel Washington immersed himself in that role.
Yeah.
That when he was doing it, that he left space, as Spike said, that Malcolm's spirit could come through him and show up in that film, man. So,
well, you know, that was the second time he had played Malcolm X anyway. He had already
he did him on Broadway, and the chickens come home to roost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he had already done Malcolm anyway.
Chill keep trying to hit me. You know I know all this stuff.
Oh, no, you the one. Oh, no disrespect to Chill. I don't know how many movies he
I don't know
watched.
how many movies Chill don't watch. No disrespect.
Man, come on. You don't want to go there with me with that. You don't want to do
You think
that.
this is bad? You wait till Saturday, bro. It's on for you.
All right. And I don't even know if I wanted to get away with your first movie because I'd make that first movie an actual play.
Wow.
It's like a teleplay. So I don't even know how we let you get away with that. But go ahead, bro.
Man, I'm trying to think, man. I've seen so many movies, man.
Rocking a Lorraine Hansberry
It's
play.
hard
as your
to come
top
up with
movie.
like they like my children, man. Like I know what movies I really like a lot, but it's hard, man. Those first 2 I gave you are kind of in the upper. That's kind of like way up here for me. Those movies. I mean, I love Love Jones. I don't know if Love Jones is top 5.
I think 5 Heartbeats, what's the name, did a hell of a job on 5 Heartbeats. And maybe because I
He did
like
a hell of a job, but that's not top 5. That's not the top 5. It is not. Well, that's Robert Townsend. Yeah, that's different.
Robert Townsend.
That's not a top 5. I mean, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm gonna have some time because you hit me with one. I thought you were gonna hit me with the top 5 films ever. You know, I love my Godfathers. You know, that always is in there. But
Mario Puzo.
Ooh, that's tough. So many really good films, man. New Jack City, Boys in the Hood. So many really good movies, man.
All right. Hey, I can't wait to be on your show on Saturday. I'm going to come with some no disrespect to you, Tim. But,
you know, man, we have a greeting, an intro that we worked on for you all week, and it is going to be a mix. I'm gonna have somebody put a mix together of all the Chill songs back when you were dropping the mic, man. I mean, that's what I want to see.
all right, but I just want you to know that you may or may not want to look at the quintessential Chill interview that Crazy D did of me. I don't want to put no pressure on you. But
what's this?
Comprehensive.
Crazy D wasn't on the phone the other day when we were interviewing each other. That was funny. That was like a roast the other day.
It was.
First time we had talked in what, like 5 or 6 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we spent about a good 2 hours just on catch up with insults flying back and forth.
Well, I want to go on record by saying, Mr. Gordon, that this is my first crack at actually getting this movie really popping, but it's a great script. I'm not a pitcher on the movie. I can just tell you that it's real dope though. The script is crazy, and I'm a few people ready to look at it and all that. So I'm gonna see what happens. But this is dope.
Hey brother, tell your story, man. I mean, there's so many folks, man, who had a dream. If you got a story to tell, man, tell it, man. But Chill is a good resource, man, because if you let Chill read it, Chill will tell you, all right, maybe you need to go back and do another rewrite on this thing, man. But you gotta there's no disrespect on having your stuff rewritten. There are people, man, that have worked on scripts.
And I'm on my 8th rewrite of 3 different joints.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. That's the game, joint, bro. If you want your message to be out there and have it resonate, you got to get that thing as tight as possible.
Crazy D showing like y'all better recognize. I'm out here making movies already. Y'all better
already made some movies, man.
Like y'all better recognize.
Well, I don't know.
All I got is some pictures with some celebrities, man. That's all I got. I ain't got no movie scripts.
I know
So,
that. I know that. Everybody's basically from Cleveland, but Marcel Dorsey is the guy that had to do the script. He got a couple movies, a couple
I
of
know
books and
Marcel.
stuff. Yeah, Marcel dope with the writing.
Yeah, I
He's
know
dope with
Marcel.
the
Yeah,
writing.
yeah.
So he did the writing. He wrote the script for me. I just told him the story and gave him the, he
I
did all
thought
the
you wrote
dialogue.
the script. Okay, you told the
No,
story.
I
All
wrote
right.
the. Yeah, I created the story.
Stereo, man, you make this man gotta go eat. Tim, what you
Okay.
eating, bruh?
Okay.
What you getting ready to eat?
well, hold on a second. Love, what am I eating?
What you eating?
Oh, I got
Beans
some,
and cornbread.
I got some El Salvadorian chicken over here.
Oh, you're
my
getting
name.
fancy over there.
Hey, bruh. You see it right here. Look.
Keeping it real. All right, Tim, for you interviewing me on Saturday, where is this gonna be live? Are you taping? Or you do? Oh no, you
We're
do all
gonna
these.
go. We're gonna go straight to. We're gonna do it. It's not gonna be necessarily be live, but it'll be on YouTube. So Saturday afternoon, you can shoot it out to everybody. Because as soon
Okay.
as the show is over, it process. You know the process is
Right.
with Zoom.
Okay, so you'll have it out.
Yeah. So you're gonna be, I think, on episode. I want to say 413. Because my show, we've been doing our show, man, since 2009. So we got episodes, man.
Was that a diss too?
What, man?
I don't know how many shows Chill got, but we got 5,027 shows.
You're gonna be on 413. Wilson Morales will be on the show on Saturday.
Wilson's gonna be on the show that I'm on.
And since we're gonna be talking some hip hop, I'm gonna bring another dude on who I'm not gonna tell you that we're gonna have some hip hop conversation. So
I can do that too.
I know you can do that, man. I should call up Schoolie D and get him on since you was like, man, ain't nobody listening to no PSK.
That is not what I said.
What?
So I told my boy today, he said,
man. Because I listen to PSK, I'm making it plain. Everybody says, what the hell does that mean? P is for the people who can't understand how one homeboy became a man. Okay, no, I never said nobody was listening to it.
I'm saying this because when I brought this up the other day,
I said it didn't make the charts.
Man, ain't nobody listening to that thing.
That is not what I said. I said it didn't make the charts.
That's what made Ice-T. That's what made Ice-T write 6 in the morning. That joint right there.
Yeah, Schoolie. I mean, I know the lyrics to PSK.
Man. Chill.
With the dope artwork, the dope cartoon artwork he did himself on the covers. I did a show at the Fever right after Schoolie D.
So Crazy in Stereo. I just have to apologize to Chill because the running joke was when we first met. He told me he rapped. I was like, man, you look like Puffy. And that was our joke for years. I was like, so I didn't. Is it true?
It's true that you said it. Yeah, yes. But go ahead.
So I was saying that.
Yeah, you did. He called me Puffy for like 5 years.
And I finally had to put some respect on his name. He is a pioneer. So Saturday we're gonna give him his props and salute him because you have never been on my show, man, in all the years we've ever done this show.
I have not. But let me tell you real quick. I wasn't a pioneer until the day before yesterday when he called me and said, Chill, I'm listening to your stuff. He said, you on a song with Melly Mel.
And what did
I say?
You said, no, Melly Mel's on the song.
Yeah, facts.
And I became a pioneer to him 2 days ago when he heard Melly Mel on my song.
But hey, man, here, all I can say is that in life, sometimes people get mad that you don't understand or get something early. The object is to understand and get it, and get wisdom when you can get it. So
even if it's 20 years later.
Chill has always been the brother from the land, Halle Berry's right hand. He's been all these things. We didn't know you were the hip hop pioneer, bro.
You didn't know. I don't know about we didn't know. Anyway, Tim, tell the people again where they can find you and what to look out for your different organizations.
All right, I'm gonna say this slow because there's a bunch of them, man. So you can check me out at Film Gordon, which is keeping it real with Film Gordon. You can check me out at Keeping It Real with Film Gordon. You can check me out at Black Reel Awards. We got at the Lakefront Film Fest. So there's a bunch of stuff. And if you want more information on our foundation, that's at FAAF, FAAF, the Foundation for the Augmentation of African Americans in Film. Okay. So I think I've covered it all.
And the show Saturday, what is that going to be on?
We're going to do it on Zoom, but it'll probably be on our YouTube channel that I'll shoot out, and that's going to be at Film Gordon. So Yeah, so we're not gonna do call-ins. It's gonna be a love fest with me and this brother right here, man. Because Chill is a good dude. Proud of him. It was good to catch up. I was glad. Did you call me or did I call you?
I called you. I think I saw something.
Oh yeah. I sent you something. You didn't respond to it.
But I called you.
Yeah, because
I reached out to you.
Yeah, instead of just writing me an email, you picked up the phone and called me. Because that's our relationship.
That's how I do it. I know
you mean like the time you came to DC, hung out in town the whole weekend, and you claimed you tried to call me and we didn't like that?
You wouldn't answer my call, bro.
See, okay. Like, so if I come to Cleveland and I call you.
Oh, we got you. You come to the land, bro. We got you. Oh, don't even, come on. You already know that.
I need the Ice Cube face.
You come to the land, we got you. That ain't, hey, you can ask anybody. You come to the land, we got you.
And where my bars at you promised me, man?
I ain't never had a problem with spitting bars.
Some bars the other day.
Say that again?
You said, and I quote, I'm going to send you some bars.
I was going to send it. See, I was about to start dropping bars just right now. I thought you was like, I thought that was a call out. But no, I think I did send you a YouTube. I did send you a link.
You sent it to the email?
No. I think
because I'm saying I'll check for it, but
I think I linked it to you. But anyway, yeah. I just linked you something that I dropped on. Has it been that long since you had room to rep mine? It was those bars.
Okay. So Crazy D, Stereo, man, it was a pleasure, man, meeting both of you brothers, man. If y'all associated with this brother here, I know y'all good people. Chill, I'll see you in a couple of days, man. And we need to get up and talk because, like I said, I had a meeting tonight about the Black Real Awards that we're going to need you to be a part of that come next April. So we'll talk.
All right. And we'll get involved. I'll take your advice and I'll register since Sean is on the board of
you need to be in the room, brother.
In the room when it happens. All right, I got you. So what time are we linking up Saturday? What time does that go down?
2:00, man. 2:00 Eastern, bro.
You gonna send me the link, right?
I'll send you the link.
All right. Hey, Stereo, the Hitman, Crazy D in the building. My brother, Film Gordon, Mr. Tim Gordon, holding it down in the district.
Wait, is he from DC or he from Cleveland?
He from Jersey.
Man, I'm from Newark, New Jersey, the place where who killed Malcolm X? That happened in my town.
He in Newark. He from Newark.
The brothers in Newark.
Oh, okay. You from Newark. Okay.
Okay, here's one really, before I let you go, Tim, I gotta, rep my people. My cousin, rest in peace, my old cousin from Newark. He's the father of street pimp hustler literature, and he's from Newark.
You talking about Nathan Hurd?
You're doggone right. Howard Street, because last name Hurd.
Watch this. He wrote what?
Howard Street.
What street was I on?
Was you on Howard Street?
I grew up on Howard Street.
Okay, there you go.
That's why I knew who Nathan Hurd was, because before my father passed, we had a conversation about that book, and that was the last conversation we had, because he grew up on Howard Street as well.
That's right. Yeah, and his daughter, my cousin, Natalie Hurd, is holding down his legacy.
Related to Nathan Hurd?
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know that, man. You learn something new every day, man.
Yep. The OG is street lit, before Iceberg Slim.
Bruh, I grew up on Howard Street, man, in Newark, in the 60s and 70s, when it was not a nice place to be.
No. Nathan Hurd, author of Howard Street, House of Slammers, a couple other joints, but one of the founding fathers of the street lit
Wow.
pimp hustler game on literature. Before Iceberg Slim,
before Donald Goings.
Before
Iceberg.
That's what I said. Before Iceberg Slim.
Before Iceberg.
Just by a little bit.
Yeah, but, so I know how proud you are of Cleveland, man. We need to talk about the legends that came out my city, man. I mean, growing up where Whitney was around the corner, Whitney Houston, and seeing Bill Bellamy at Club 88. I mean, just, Jeff Friday from ABFF is a year younger than me. He was in Newark, man. There's a lot in it. Michael B. Jordan Went to our side.
Red Man, Naughty by Nature.
Oh no, I got
Queen
good.
Latifah went to my high school, man. I'm telling you, bro.
Orange.
We had bangers, man, back in the day.
Oh no, big ups to Newark, man. Newark.
Yeah, I was thumping out there then.
Yeah, man.
Medina.
Yeah.
Medina.
The Brick City.
On the
Yeah,
boost. That's Medina. But yeah, no. Hey, Tim, we're gonna get it in on Saturday. So send me the link. Hey, bro. You know I love you. Always
love you
good
too,
to talk
bro.
to you, man. My brothers here on the panel always appreciate you. Hey, we up out of here. Make sure you go ahead and share this. If you didn't donate to Chill Talk or support it, hey, we'll get you next time. Right. Hey, Stereo already owed me a Cash App money for giving him a lightweight metal netcher lesson.
Yeah, he did give me a lesson. What's that, day before yesterday?
Yeah. He said, man, I'm a Cash App you something.
Yeah.
You know? Okay, all right. Anyway,
Crazy Stereo. Y'all take care, bro.
we up out of here, y'all.
No
Peace,
doubt.
love and light. We gone.